Hi everyone, it's Erin here from Erin Elizabeth Designs, joining you for another floss tube. If you are stopping by for the first time, this is just my space where I talk to you guys all about my cross-stitch designs, ones that I've released already, new ones that are coming out, update you on things going on in that area. I'm also sharing as many tips and tricks that I have that might be helpful for you guys, and then finishing as well. So if you are returning, I thank you for choosing to come back and show up again to see what I've got going on. Today we are going to be doing a finishing video for a couple new designs that I have coming out for spring and Easter of 2024. So let's get started. I will show you guys those designs and then I'll flip the camera down and we'll go ahead and finish them and see what we come up with for the day. All right, so first up I have Spring Bunny, and this is a brand new release. And we are going to be finishing it on the oval display piece that I've shared with you guys before in one of my previous videos. It had the blossoms and birds on it before, so I've shared that in one of my other videos with you guys. And today we're going to finish this new design on it. So the new one is Spring Bunny. And it's just this really cute chocolate brown bunny with a cute little white cottontail. We've got some bumblebees in there and some beautiful spring florals. Absolutely love how this design came together, and I could not be happier with the final product. I just think it is absolutely perfect for spring, Easter, without being too Eastery. You can leave it up a little bit longer. Absolutely love how it came out. I chose to go with this 14 count Ada, and it's Seldone, I believe is how you'd say it. If I'm saying it wrong, I apologize. Ada from Zweigart. It's just kind of a minty green, so any kind of mint green, this absolutely makes it pop, and I love that it just adds that extra spring hue to it. So that is Spring Bunny, and like I said, a brand new release in that beautiful oval shape. So some of those flowers are kind of cut off to help create that oval. And as I said, we're going to finish it on here, so it is going to be finished right tight up to the oval. I still, though, think if you didn't have this board and you didn't want to go that route, this would be absolutely adorable in a regular frame with the straight edges, because the oval then looks just kind of like an egg shape. So it just helps add to that Easter feel and look. So that could be an option as well. I did bring one here, just like a dollar store frame. This is a 5x7. So I thought if you wanted a real quick, simple, easy finish, something different, this would be super cute to just do a nice bright white frame. I mean, you could do a chocolate brown or a wood or something too, whatever suits your decor. I just like the white because it's a little bit fresher for spring. Of course, I don't have it in there perfect, you guys, but you get the idea. I'll maybe, when we flip down into the other, should have a little bit more room up at the top. But that gives you kind of an idea, right? What it would look like with the oval egg shape in a regular frame. I think it would be absolutely adorable still to do it as just a quick finish like that in a frame, if that's something you wanted to do. The finishing we're going to do today is super, super easy. So these are, again, through Paisleys and Polka Dots. I will put the information here and put a link below for where to get these from. With them, when you purchase, you do get the two boards. So you get the two different sizes. One to finish the stitch, and one for your like a fabric backing, so that you get that extra detail in there. So we're going to go ahead and put the finish stitch on the one, and then pick some fabric for the backing and get it all put together. I'm going to show you just how quick and easy it is. Paisleys and Polka Dots has these for sale separately as well. So no matter, you buy the frame once, you get them with it. You buy the frame, or you don't have to buy the frame to get more of these. You just can buy these separately. So it just makes your finishing super easy. You don't have to worry about getting the shape just right. And yeah, it's quick, easy. They're wood, so they're not going to lose their shape over time. I'm going to go through and show you exactly how I did this one so that you guys can do it all on your own at home. And like I said, it is really easy and quick. It's a quick finish. So, and then the next one up we have is Bloom, Grow, Blossom, and that's going to be for the round board. So exact same finishing board. Help if I put it the right way. Bloom, Grow, Blossom. Finished on the exact same fabric. So for the finishing piece sizes that Julie provides in the for the frame packs, with the stitches I've done, it's going to be a 14 count or 28 count that you're going to want to do for it to come out to the right size for the finishing. So like I said, I did a 14 count for these. I really love that mint green. I just think it pops the design. And then we've got our smaller circle and the larger one there. So again, we're going to go through, do both of these finishes and show you exactly how to do it, how quick and easy it can be. So I hope you guys enjoy it. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comments. I will link the boards in the description box and anything else I might talk about. One thing I will say, you guys, I do have an Amazon storefront set up to show you exactly like the magnets that I use, any supplies that, if I say that I got them on Amazon. I've got the metal discs that I put on the back of these pieces, which I will be sharing those with you as we go through. Those are in my Amazon storefront. I am in Canada, just as a reminder. You guys can click on it and see what I purchased, and then just take the information from there and search it on your country's Amazon to find the product. Most of my viewers are going to be in the US, and I know that my Canadian links do not work. That's totally fine. I just wanted to put them there so you guys can see exactly what products I'm using. Feel free to just take that information and find it, search it on Google, do the thing so that you can find what it is that I'm talking about easily. I did not want to do any kind of like posting US links for products that I have not purchased myself, because I cannot purchase them off the US just like you can't purchase them off the Canadian. So just a heads up about that. I will link again my link for my Amazon storefront, but if you are in the US, you're gonna have to just take the information and find it on the US site. So I hope that helps. I just wanted to clear that up because that's a question I keep getting a lot of on some of my other finishing videos. So hope you guys get something out of this today. Let's get going. Okay, you guys, I just wanted to do a little redemption here on putting this little stitch in the frame to show you. So this is what it would look like if you were to just frame it, which again, I think is just super cute because the oval looks like a little egg. So you could do it this way as well, and it would be super easy to do. I just made sure it was on there nice and even side to side, and then there's enough room in the frame to just put it on the actual backer, and then you could pinch the edges over and just do a basic. You could absolutely finish that up a lot neater, glue it in, stitch it in, whatever. But just to give you guys a quick idea before I go ahead and finish it on the oval, what it would look like if you did it in a regular standard frame, and how quick and easy is that? So, okay. So we're going to do the Spring Bunny finish first on the oval. And I just went through my fabrics that I have, and I thought this pink would be a nice one for the backer, and then I picked out this yellow for this one here. And then I'm going to do some trim and stuff too, so we'll do that after we get these going. But first off, we're going to go ahead and we're going to grab our ovals here. The smaller one is what the stitch is going to go on. See how it fits over that perfectly. So we're going to go ahead and finish that on this. So what I've got here is I've got some batting. This is just leftover quilt batting that I have on hand, and I'm going to put a piece of that on here just to give it a little softness and a little extra cushion to it, like a little bit of puffiness. So I just use whatever spray batting adhesive that I have just to kind of help keep that to this. So I'm just going to spray it off camera here. I'm just going to spray it on the wood piece. Just makes it a little, so I just sprayed some on there, and we're just going to stick that down on our batting, and then we're going to go ahead and trim the outside edges off. So just with a rotary cutter, just go around and trim that excess off as best we can. Might need to put a new blade in this little guy. Okay, so there we go. Just a little piece there. Okay. So, and then with the batting, you just want to make sure that there's no little fibers that have caught onto it that you might see through. This fabric's not so bad, and there's a lot of stitching on it, so it's not going to be that bad. I like to just kind of go around and just like run my finger over the edges there just to kind of help smooth out any of that sharpness to that. I mean, by the time you pull the fabric, it's going to do that too, but it's just sort of a thing I do. Now with the oval, it does fit, like I said, like perfectly snug on there. So we want to make sure we've got it pulled edge to edge, and then we're going to go up here and find top to bottom. Okay. And then just adjust it where we need to. So that's looking pretty good. So you can kind of go around and just maybe move it that way a smidge bit. Okay, that's good. A good starting point for us. So I'm going to flip it down, and then I'm just going to take off these corners here with my rotary cutter to kind of, again, give that oval shape, just to get rid of some of the bulk. It may be time for a new. All right. Now you could glue this, whatever you're more comfortable with, gluing, stitching it on. I know a lot of times too, like people, the smaller stitches I usually do glue, hot glue, because it is a smaller stitch and it's more, I guess, of a decorative piece that I'm going to be keeping and using from season to season, and not like an heirloom piece necessarily. So I don't know. It's just quicker sometimes. Not that stitching is difficult at all. Stitching allows you to have more flexibility with placement, which is really nice in shapes like this. So you can play around with it a lot more. If you glue it, it's kind of, especially with hot glue, it's pretty much wherever it sticks is where it's going to go. You've got a little bit of flexibility, but not a whole lot. So I'm going to stitch it on today and show you guys that with the shapes. Like I say, sometimes it's nicer to do the stitching so that you can have that play with it while you're putting it on, I guess. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a loop in this, a loop knot. We're going to try that. I'm going to cut that tail off now. Okay. And then just take whatever you think you might need for, I got a really long piece here. And I just threw my needle like in my sleeve. Okay, we've got a nice big eye needle and we're just gonna thread this on. This is just some crochet yarn. It's just a nice thick for the different fabrics that you are using. Of course, I'm gonna have trouble getting the needle on because I'm filming. Oh. Okay. So we've got our needle and thread. We're just gonna go I'm just gonna try and be in the camera here. Okay, so I'm just gonna go through and weave that needle in, giving, I probably did way too long of a piece. I'm used to weaving, stitching on, like I said, I'm used to stitching the larger pieces, like for samplers and things like that, a bit more. Again, I don't mind hot glue for the small things. Some people are very against gluing and would rather do the stitching, and that's totally fine. It's personal preference. So hot glue is pretty self-explanatory. So if you wanted to do it that way, you just do what I did before, kind of get that on there as best we can. For centered and stuff, and then I usually start like top to bottom, tack it down, make sure it's still good, flip it front to back, and then do side and side with some glue. Same thing, make sure it's still, the margins are still looking okay, and then just gradually go around and finish gluing, and with a lot of flipping back and forth between the gluing. So who knows, by the time you do all that and make the adjustments, maybe it's not as quick to do gluing as I think it is. Just feels like it in the moment because you're having that instant satisfaction and you're not going through this whole tangly mess. I by no means am an expert finisher. I love to craft, and I have kind of my own sometimes roundabout way of doing things. So there's lots of tutorials out there. I just wanted to show you guys how I'm finishing these on these pieces because a lot of people have asked. So I thought I'd show you how I do it, but by all means, take what you already know, find other videos out there, tutorials. There are so many other tricks and better ways of doing it, better supplies, all of that. I'm still learning as well. I'm changing the way I do things from time to time. So, like I said, this isn't anything fancy, but we're gonna get the job done and be able to display our beautiful pieces. So if you ever have any questions or want something explained a bit more, let me know in the comments and I can definitely try and help you guys. Okay, so we've got that all the way around. I'm gonna go through my loop here, and I made my loop a little too big, that's okay. And then we're just gonna pull it nice and tight. Okay, so now that kind of gives us a good start. Okay, so we're gonna flip it back over here and then just go around and make sure, see it's a little high up there and not quite far enough down here. So we're just gonna pull that, okay. And then, okay, so now I'm gonna go and do just a couple more stitches around here. So I kind of did a bit of a we're gonna go back and forth a little bit to get some of these bigger spots under control. Just to give it a little bit more tightness through there. So anywhere there's kind of like a bigger gather, I'm gonna try and go in and grab it. Another thing, this is Ada, so it's pretty, it's got some good structural integrity, and it's also a smaller piece. But another thing, if you are doing bigger things or on linen or Lugana, you're gonna want to do either have more of a margin or do a finishing on your seam just to give it some extra strength and integrity to that edge. Because this is, if this was a linen or Lugana, it would pull through that fabric a lot easier. And having it like surged or zigzagged is just going to give it that extra little bit of a structure. So one of my biggest things with finishing is like, it doesn't really matter what the backs, the insides of the project look like if you're not going to be seeing it. So that's where I think, like, if it's, I'm not an expert finisher, I do the best I can, and I'm not worried about making it look pretty. On the back as much as the front. Okay, so I'm thinking I'm just gonna flip it over here, make sure we're still going good. I'm gonna do one more there because that's kind of, we're gonna do, yeah, there's just this one here that's kind of, okay, so we're gonna just try and pull that. And then I'm going to go up here and grab this because this looks a little loosey-goosey. Finishing videos are not, I'm still learning on how to kind of show you guys these all the best. But so like I say, it doesn't look pretty, but when you flip it over, it looks good. So with the stitching, like I say, it's nice because you can still pull and manipulate it a little bit where you need to. But I think that is pretty darn good. And look how quick and easy that was. So we've got a little bit of batting in there, so it gives it that little bit more round, puffy. And then, like I said, anywhere where those little edges, like the big buckles were, we just kind of grabbed those and pulled them down as much as we can. Now we're going to, you can either tie that off, but I am going to, because this is going to be getting glued to the back one, I'm just going to put a glob of, pull this real nice and tight, put a glob of hot glue on there. This is the best hot glue gun ever from Michaels. It's just the cordless one of the Super Bond. I love it because it's got a nice fine tip to it and you can take it off the cord. You can use it plugged in as well, but it's nice to not have that cord as tangling while you're working. So I've put a little glob of glue on there. This gets super hot, so I'm just giving it a few moments there to kind of cool, and then I'm just gonna, you don't have to do that. I just like to kind of press it in so that it's secured down. I know it's going to, and it's not going to leave an extra thick gob there because, like I said, we are going to put this onto the other piece. So there you go. Your tail is just glued down, and I'm just going to snip that off. And we have the front of our spring bunny ready to go. It's like a cute little Easter egg. So there is that. Now we're going to move on to the backer. So this is going to be the backer for the fabric, and because it's already pretty thick with the wood and everything, I'm going to do a trim in here. I'm not going to put a batting on this particular one because, like I say, we've already got that thickness of the wood, and I kind of want that crispness for the material. So we're just going to do a layer of fabric on this. Ooh, I did not pre-iron this. Let's see how bad. I'm just gonna go with it. Okay, so this is probably, you're not gonna see a lot of it, so I think I'm just gonna pull it real tight and you won't see that it needed an iron. And if it does, then I'll just have to redo it. So again, we're just gonna lay our backer oval on here now. And we're gonna go ahead and trim that off, the edges around it. So we're just gonna kind of do a guesstimate, give yourself a nice little, about an inch or so, playroom, whatever you like to have for margin. Doesn't have to be perfect. And I should have changed that blade, but we're just gonna go with it because, yeah. All right. So this will kind of give you guys an idea how I would do it if I was using glue for the first one. So we're gonna hot glue, and I'm gonna get some hot glue sticks first and foremost. So I'm gonna start top, bottom. We're gonna pull that up and just kind of cinch it in. And hope that we can pull that tight enough I can pull those creases out. I really should go iron it, but I kind of already got going. So we're just putting some glue down, and I'm doing this a little different because I don't have to center it. I am just going to go around and finish this side and then do the other. So we're just putting a little bit of glue around, and then I'm just going to push that up and kind of smooth out the oh, my words are not working today. I'm going to smooth out those the gathering. Smooth out the gathering as much as we can, and make sure there's no, like, again, we don't want any like real thick parts of the hot glue. So that's kind of nice to just have be able to smooth it out. And by the time I pull that other side, this is going to be nice and smooth. We're not going to see the creases in the fabric there. So it doesn't have to, like I say, I'm just trying to show you guys too that the finishing, I'm trying to take like that, the overwhelming, I mean, if you're not comfortable finishing, there's so many people out there that love to do it. Reach out to the finishers, get them to do it. Might as well spend your time doing the stuff you love. So if you love to do just the stitching and send it off to get finished, that's perfect. There's people that love to do the finishing. So absolutely. But I just wanted to kind of show you guys too how quick and easy some of these smaller projects are to do, so that maybe you won't feel as overwhelmed to take them on yourself. Because I know if you're not comfortable doing it, sometimes it feels like a big task. So there we go. We have our nicely covered fabric. I'm just gonna take that up on that side just to get a little bit more. So hot glue is pretty forgiving, I find. Sometimes it is, sometimes, you know, it can be difficult. So anyways, there we go. So we have our beautiful crisp fabric, and there is our spring bunny on it. So it looks great just as is, absolutely. We could leave it like that. We've got our frame that, these frames do come in the raw wood like this, in pieces. So you're gonna need wood, glue, and paint. So the instructions that Paisley and Polka Dots includes in these are absolutely the best, easy to follow. I've said it before too, she's got tutorials on her website. You can go and watch for finishes, for putting the finishes together and painting. But super easy, step by step, glue it together, paint it, choose your color. You don't have to do it in white. And this is like, would look great just like that on there. But I am gonna, today I'm gonna go around and put a little trim on there. I think I'm gonna see what I have in my bucket and see if there's something that jumps out to me. Jumps out. So let's go take a look at what I have in my trims and see what we've got. All right, so I have been pulling some trims and I've tried a few things. I've tried some rickrack that I felt was just a little too overpowering. I've got the white. I just felt like it took away from this design too much. I tried some burlap stuff, but it just didn't quite work with the color scheme. I wasn't loving it. So I think what I ended up finding was some twine rope. It's got like a little bit of silver and gold in there. I just found this from Winners during the holiday season. So it's got a yellow, almost very similar to the yellow that is in the stitch there. So I think I'm just going to use that around the edge once we get it on the board here. And then I'm going to try and do my seam at the bottom and hide it as best I can with this. This does tend to like fray quite a bit on the ends. So I'm going to try and do a nice clean cut and like tuck it away. If I can't get it perfect, I'll put some sort of decorative bow or extra little something there, okay? So let's start with that. We're going to, now that we've got our pieces all finished like this, we're going to put some hot glue on the back of the bunny there, and then we're going to smush them together and finish it with our trim. So just gonna try and get a bunch of hot glue. Get another stick. All right, that should be good. It's got a lot of hot glue on there, and then we're just going to place it on the front and make sure we've got good similar spacing all around. I'm gonna give it a good press on there. All right. So like I said, I'm going to start this down at the bottom here. I think what I might do is I might trim, trim that end off. That's really frayed. And then I'm just going to put a little dab of hot glue there. I'm going to give it a minute to kind of cool. And then I'm just going to twist that on there. If you're sensitive to hot glue, you might not want to do that. I've been doing this forever, and it's just, I'm comfortable doing it. So please do not burn yourself by trying this, but I just give it time to cool off. And just before it's fully cool, I give it a little swirl there just to kind of close it, all those ends in. And I'm going to trim that a little bit off so it's just a little bit more together. So I'm going to go in and put some glue all around there and then just tuck this in and around those edges, okay? I'm going to move my trims here so hopefully I can show you. Okay, so we're going to start at the bottom, and this is where that fine tip comes in handy on the glue gun. So I know this is probably hard to see. See, I can kind of get that tip right in there so that I like that. It's just giving it enough. I've kind of pushed it in a little bit so it's not too bulky around the edge. Kind of fits in that little bit of spacing gap that there is from the extra. So it kind of just fills that in nicely. Okay. So we're just going to continue to go around here. Try and show you guys the best I can. Oh, I love that. This was the perfect trim. So happy with that. You know, you buy something, that one I bought, and I was not sure I would ever find the right use for it, but I got a good price for it, and something about it, I thought, you know, maybe one day. And look at that. Oh, it's so pretty. Oh, I love it so much. Okay. So get in there and just try and match that up. Whoop. And we're gonna do a little bit of glue. Do a little bit more. Okay. All right, so we've just tucked the end in there with some glue, and it's pretty good connective piece there, hidden. So if it turned out where you didn't like it so much, you could just add a little charm or a bow with a button or something down here to just kind of cover that a little bit. But I'm all in all happy with that. So there is our spring bunny. I think that came out absolutely perfect. That golden yellow matches this really nice, and then that extra little shine kind of gives it that special touch. So there is our first one, our oval. I'll just put on the metal pieces on the back at the end here. So, but that is all I do to finish these. You could, if you, okay, so for the back, I'm going to trim a little bit of this fabric off here because that's a little extra and we don't need it. But if you wanted it to look nicer, you could put a piece of felt on here easily just to kind of make that, finish it off, or even a piece of paper or something like a scrapbook paper, just whatever you want to kind of cover that to make it look pretty. Absolutely, you could do that. So my motto is, if you're not going to see it, if it's going to go up against something, then I'm not going to worry about the extra for that. So there we are. Spring bunny. All right, so next we're going to do Bloom Grow Blossom, and we're finishing this on the round. So we've got our larger and our smaller. This is the stitch size here. All right, so again, this would look really cute if you just kept it in a squared off form as well, with the round of the flowers showing. But this round will fit perfectly on the smaller size here if you're stitching it on 14 or 28 count. So we're going to go ahead and put our stitch onto the smaller one. I've got my piece of batting here. I've got the adhesive batting spray, so I'm just going to use that on the wood and then stick that down. You can spray either this or the wood, but I just do the wood. There we go. So that's on there. And we're gonna just go around like we did with our other and trim off all that excess. All right. And then we're just gonna make sure I flipped around and I kind of smooth out those sharp edges of the cutting and make sure there's no extra pieces there we don't need. So, and then again, you want to make sure that there's no fluffies or strings or anything attached to that that might show through, especially if you've got a lighter fabric. You don't want it showing through on your piece. All right, so there's our batting attached to the wood piece, and then we're going to go ahead and put on our stitch and just kind of get a general feel for where it's going to fall and hit. And then we're going to go around and trim off all that, those extra corners, just to kind of get rid of some of that extra bulk. Give yourself enough space to do the stitching or gluing, whichever you're doing. So there we go. Nothing too crazy fancy. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get our thread. I've got one already ready to go here, and I just have a knot in the one end and on my needle. So instead of going around with the disc on it, I think I'm gonna take this time, and I'm going to just weave my needle around the edges, giving myself enough margin to pull, but I'm just going to go and weave this around, and then we will go put it onto our disc after. It's kind of like creating like a jam jar cover. That's what it feels like. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do this and then come back when it's all done. All right, so I've just got all the stitching all around there, and then we're going to take our circle and try and get that lined up nice, looking at it from the front, making sure our edges are good. And like I say, with the stitching, then you can adjust it a lot easier than if you were gluing it. So we're going to place that down, and we're just going to give this string a pull. And then we're going to flip it around here and move it how we need to. And pull and stretch it on so that it's where it needs to be. Okay, so we're going to pull that nice and tight as we can. Go around and kind of like push those little pleats down so everything's nice and snug. Give it another tug. Look at it from the front. Just kind of push and where it needs to go. If there's any pleats and puckers, you can kind of smooth them out there. And that looks pretty good for the first initial go around. So now we're just going to go to the back, take that needle, and we're going to go anywhere that there might be like a bit more of a pucker gather, and we're just going to loop it back and forth a few times here. So you're just going to grab grab that fabric wherever. And this just helps to pull those puckers in a little bit more and smooth them out. See how that went from like being kind of puffy to now laying a bit nicer. This one's standing up quite a bit, so we're going to scoop that one. And we're just going to go, can't see how, again, it was poofy and puckered, and then we're going to pull that, and it just smooths that out a lot nicer. So continue that back and forth until you have a nice, I went a little close to the edge there. Again, you want to serge your edges or finish them with a zigzag, especially if it is linen or even weave, because when you put that stitch in and pull, it's going to pull those threads a lot easier. The Aida is a bit more, has a bit more structural integrity to it because of the weave of it, but even that being said, that one, I definitely went a little close to the edge there. So keep that in mind for the smaller projects. Like I said, sometimes I just do a little more kind of like a cheating system on it. So, but Aida's got a lot more structural integrity to it than your even weave or linen. So I think that's starting to look pretty good. Getting my string all tangled up here. My tail's getting too long. All right, so again, nothing too fancy. I just wanted to show you guys exactly like how I do it, and like I say, sometimes I do it, change it up how I do it, but I just kind of wanted to show how easy it can be to finish your own smalls, especially smalls. So I hope to do a lot more of these videos, and I hope that they're helpful in one way or another. Hopefully too, they'll just get better the more I do them and the more comfortable I get doing this kind of stuff on camera, because it's a little bit weird to be making sure I'm in frame and still doing the work. So again, flip it back to the front, make any last adjustments you might need to do, make sure we've got all those little puckers and stuff smoothed out. But that is our Bloom Grow Blossom. Super easy. You got that nice little like puffiness to it, rounded out, just with that little bit of batting. If you wanted it to be even more puffy, you could do another layer or two of batting to give it some extra puff. But that is Bloom Grow Blossom. And again, you can tie that off. I choose to do just a little dollop of glue on there. And then I'm just gonna let it cool down before I give it a good like press down. I do a lot of like pushing with the hot glue, touching after I've done it. I don't want anybody to burn themselves, so hot glue is very hot, especially this little gun gets really hot. So you want to make sure you're not going to burn yourself. You could use something else to push it down with or smooth it out, or like I say, you can just tie it off too. But yeah, I just kind of, just before it's ready to set, give it a little smush down there. And that's just to, like, that didn't feel warm even to me, so at that point. But yeah, that is what I do for the stitching it on. Nothing pretty. I've said it before, I'll always say it. It's the back of the piece. Nobody's gonna see it. It's what the front looks like. So, and I'm happy with that front. So now we've got the stitch piece done. We're gonna go ahead and get some fabric on them. I've chosen this yellow. I think that's gonna look, yeah, I like that. Something different than the other one that we did. Yellow looks nice with this. So I'm gonna go get that on, and then we'll see about the trim, what's gonna work. So luckily these are small pieces. I didn't iron this out ahead of time. All right, so again, let's trim off some of that excess. All right. So got the excess trimmed off. We're gonna get our little glue gun. We'll start end to end here. All right. And now I'm just gonna again put a little bit of glue around on the edge, and we're gonna go in and fold and pleat that around and really smush it down so that there's no big gobs of glue. You just want to make sure you're giving it a nice pleating to it so that it's going to lay nice along that seam on the front. And one more side. So again, pulling it nice and snug. Get a nice finish on there. And of course, right at the end. Gotta get myself some of the longer glue sticks. These ones just go so quick. Okay, so there we go. We're gonna push and smooth that all out. Get rid of all the big, so it's nice and flat. And it looks like there's just a little bit of movement there, so I'm just gonna pull that back up there and do that one section again so that we can get a nice little tight. There we go. Much happier with that. Okay, so there we go. We've got the fabric on the back. Like I said, we can go around and trim off some of that excess. Just to get rid of the loose. You could glue it down more too if you wanted to. I'm just gonna get rid of it. So there's our really pretty back. Again, cover that with paper or felt or something if you really want to, just so that it looks nice when you're taking it off and on your piece. Absolutely you can. I choose not to. So there we go. All right, so we have our fabric backing and we have our bloom, grow, blossom. So I'm gonna put the sort of striping that it has to it going this way of the fabric. Okay, and that's what we look like without any trim. So the only trims that I really had that I thought would look okay with this one, so I don't think the stuff that I used it doesn't have quite the same like pop as it does on the with the pink background. It still looks good. I don't hate it. So, and this one is just a little too pink, not quite the right shade. Let's try, I was kind of thinking that the white palm might be the one for this one. The rickrack just was too aggressive around the edges when I was trying it with the bunny. It took away from the stitch, so you always want to make sure that it's not going to take away from all your beautiful stitching, whatever you put around it. But I feel like this is soft enough. It's not as harsh or as stark as the white rickrack was. So I think I like that one as a side finish to that. I am back. I think of the trim options I have, I like this gold rickrack and this palm the best. I've checked it beside here. I was leaning more towards the rickrack, but I just stopped to take a picture to kind of see what it looks like in the photo, and I think I do still like the palm the best. It just sort of brightens it up and makes it pop a little bit, and this is getting lost in the fabric, so it looks really cute, but not quite right for what I'm going for, I think. So this just kind of gives it the more spring look. So we're going to go ahead with the palm. So again, this piece is long enough to get around with a little extra, so that's perfect. It's just what I have left of my white palm, so I have to go get more. Okay, so we're going to go around and glue that on the edges. Again, I'm going to start mine at the bottom, and because I know we've got a little extra, I'm going to leave a little tail so that when I get back to the end there, I have some playroom. So I'm just going to go and start as close in the center as I can there, put my thumb with a little extra tail, and then I'm just going to flip it, and I'm going to start my glue from this point, from my thumb forward. Then that way I know I've got that extra play and movement. And again, a nice skinny line along there. Not going to do too much at a time because the glue does dry pretty quick. We're going to place it on, and then we're just going to go around and make sure we've got the appropriate amount of palm showing. Don't want to do large chunks of this at a time. All right. I actually, well, all right, so now we're coming up to the end here. I'm gonna go and same thing as, okay. So I'm just gonna take right there one palm, and I'm gonna smush this tail back so that that palm is perfectly forward, and then we're gonna just put a little tack of glue and tack that down. So then we have one perfectly presented palm. And then we're gonna find, so it almost doesn't quite stretch enough. Yeah, I'm gonna pull and stretch that to finish it there. Because before it was almost like palm next to palm, so sometimes you might need to just like pull and adjust that a little bit. So I am gonna just try and do that here. Pull, a little adjusting to my placement so that I can pull this side now, and it's gonna meet up nicely there. So again, just get a little glue in there. I'm gonna pull it so that that placement looks good. And again, I'm gonna take this tail right at the ending of my palm and get that other one pushed down behind. So then when I'm looking at it from the front, okay. So I'm actually gonna go this way and tack that down over here. So then it has the full completion of the white showing. All right. So a little bit of glue there, and then pull and smush. So again, with your trims, you can go and take a needle and thread, and I just have a little tail of glue here I don't want. Okay. So you can take needle and thread and put your trim on. If you're going to the work to sew this, stitch this on, for protecting the stitch, you're obviously not going to want to put your trim on with glue. So you'll want to sew that on as well. If you're doing, I chose to do the stitching with these shapes because I just find it's like cinches in real nice and easy, and it's easy to move when you're trying to get such a perfect kind of fit. This is like right to the edge. So you want to make sure it's, you know, you don't have any, it's shifted this way or that way, and you don't want any puckers or anything. So I find stitching it's easiest. I'm not doing it in this case to protect the stitch. Like I've said before, I do the stitching to protect the stitches for like the bigger pieces, but for some of these little smalls that are, I just prefer to use glue, and I'm not too concerned about, because I don't see it being like an heirloom kind of keeping piece for years and years and years to come. So I'm gonna get the full enjoyment out of it for my life, but I don't see it getting passed on and through the family kind of thing. So anyways, I don't mind hot glue. I'm gluing the trim onto the piece, so it would have made sense to just glue the piece to the board, but so it would have made sense to just glue the piece to the board if I'm gluing the trim to this piece. But like I said, I actually prefer the stitching for the rounds. So we're going to trim off these ends. We're going to put on a bunch of hot glue, and we're going to stick this to this board. And then all we have left to do is do our metal connecting pieces on the back so that we can put it on our finishing board. All right, so we are gonna load up this whole center area with Lots and lots of glue. All right. And we're just gonna eyeball and make sure it's pressed on real good. All right. Now, one thing I will say, like this is the absolute perfect amount of like little trim showing, you know, of the fabric. You get the color in there. You don't end up seeing a lot of the fabric with putting in a trim here. You don't have to do a trim around these. Absolutely not. They look great. Just this and that and you're done. These being wood, you could paint them. So you could just do a solid paint color back there. You could also do, Julie has some tutorials on her website from Paisleys and Polka Dots that shows like painting, but then putting a piece of paper on the top, and that also looks really cool. So I'll show you guys as I do more finishing videos and stuff, different options for these, but absolutely you could just paint the outside or paint the edges of the wood and then you're done with that. You don't have to be using fabric by any means. But this is what I have. And to me, the fabric is a little bit quicker and easier. I mean, it's quicker, I guess. Painting is just as easy, but yeah, you don't have to wait for it to dry. So there is our Bloom, Grow, Blossom and Spring Bunny. So super cute, fresh pieces for spring and Easter. We're gonna go ahead and do the last piece of the puzzle, which is these. Like I said before, these are in my Amazon storefront so that you guys know what to look for, but they are just little metal pieces that you put onto like a phone to magnet it to, I think it's like a dash cam or a dash holder in your car. I'm not too sure really. But I saw magnetic and it is thin. So super thin. It's sticky on the back. I still glue them down, but they are super sticky on the back. Like they're 3M. I've got a couple different, same idea, but different. So all in with my magnets. It's a nice little. So for the circle one, I did 2, and then for my oval, I have 3 magnets on. So they are mirrored. I may actually leave that blue on there so it's not reflecting back at you guys too much. So let's go ahead with because there's such a nice big surface in comparison to the magnet, they don't have to be perfectly on that size, right? Like you've got lots of surface space for movement. So we are just going to make sure we've got our stitch going the right way. And then, like I say, they are really sticky on the back, but I am still going to do glue. Oh dear. So there's one. I already took the blue off on that one. Sorry guys if it's reflecting back, because they are like a mirror essentially. Okay, and then we're going to squish that down so we don't have any higher places. All right, and there we go. Just like that, we have our first finish. So Bloom, Grow, Blossom. Isn't that so cute on that frame? Oh my gosh, I love it. Looks so good. So again, super easy, quick, really doesn't take that much time. You just have to pick your supplies for you're finishing, and cleanup probably takes longer. All right, so that is Bloom Grow Blossom. Perfect, easy, done. And then lastly, we have our spring bunny. 1, 2, 3. So I think the adhesive would work pretty good, but over time, I think it might, I don't know how long it would last, like over time, but like I say, as long as you have a general idea of where those magnets are. Oh, did I take that off? I didn't even, or did I? I must have. Sorry, guys. I must have taken it off and put it back in the jar like that. Okay, last one here. I've got like that extra bit of fabric there. So let's just get rid of that. Of course, I don't know why I have these scissors next to me. They're not my fabric ones. Crafting. Okay. And that is that. I'll take those blue things off, obviously, but they're just on there for now. So there we go. Easy, done, and that is Spring Bunny. So, like I say, you don't get that extra, like, crazy bulk back there because these are nice and thin, and that is Spring Bunny. So I hope you guys had found something in this video today of help, and maybe it's given you the inspiration to try to do a finish. And like I say, if you don't like to do the finishing part and you'd rather spend your time stitching, that's wonderful and great too. So there's lots of people that will do finishing out there. So you can always find someone to do it for you. But I just wanted to share how I do these and give you guys hopefully some confidence to try, and also to just remember that it doesn't have to be perfect. And if your backs and inside, whatever the inside looks like, nobody's going to know, nobody's going to see, nobody sees your process. So it's what it looks like. And if you can get it up on a shelf in your home or on a wall so that you can enjoy your stitch and all that hard work you put into the actual stitching of it, that's what's important. So I hope you guys got something out of this video today, and I will see you guys another time, hopefully soon. Take care and happy stitching until then. Thank you for spending time with me today. You can find me on Instagram or Facebook at Erin Elizabeth Designs. And if you enjoyed what I had to share, please consider subscribing and liking this video. You can also turn on the little bell to be notified for my next video.